Yo, this is Jay from Straight Smoke Gaming, and in today's video, we're going to be going over, we're going to be ranking all of the NFL teams starting running backs heading into this upcoming season. Now, if they have a committee as a backfield, which I will state who I think has a committee and who doesn't, we're going to be grading it as the committee and all of that. So you'll see it when we get into it, because the first team we're starting off with is going to be a committee, and that committee is going to be what the Dallas Cowboys have at hand. I have them at 32, Javonte Williams and Jadon Blue. I think that's going to end up being a committee. I think Blue has a solid chance to overtake that backfield. If you wanted to sit here and tell me you think Javonte Williams comes out as the starter at the end of the year, I wouldn't argue with you. I think they both got a fair shake at being the starting running back, but to start the year, I think it's going to be a committee, and it's not a good pair. Fifth round running back, Javonte Williams had a really bad year last year. Not a good pair. Don't like that. 31, we got the Denver Broncos. We have RJ Harvey and Audric Estime. Estime, yeah, he's all right. Didn't see much time last year behind Javonte, McLaughlin, and all that. But with Javonte gone, he's still there. McLaughlin's still there, so he'll probably fit in a little bit. But Harvey, second-round pick, I think he's going to be good. I think they'll give him time. But overall, there's a lot of uncertainty in this backfield. Have a hard time bumping them up any higher than 31. At 30, we have Quinshon Judkins and Jerome Ford for the Cleveland Browns. Now, I like Judkins. I think Judkins is one of the more underrated running backs from this class. I think he will fit in well in Cleveland. And Ford, not a big fan of Ford. Kind of overrated. He's real streaky, it kind of seems like. He's either really good or really bad, but he does have a couple years in that offense, so that does help him there. So that's why I got them at 30. Next up at 29, we have Jaylen Warren and Caleb Johnson of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, if you want my opinion, I think Caleb Johnson ends up being the starting running back at the end of the year. I'm not a fan of Warren, but he has been there a little bit, knows the offense, so I do think he will be relevant in the offense. But when it comes to these two backs, I think Caleb Johnson is by far the better running back, and I think we will see that the farther we get into the season. But because of that, they're sitting at 29. At 28, two running backs that I really like here, Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears. I like Spears a lot. He needs to stay healthy. I think if they give him more chances on the field, receiving-wise, and even more a little bit through the run game, he could show how good of a back he is. We know what Tony Pollard is. He's not one of the best, but you know what you're getting with Tony Pollard. An average running back, a guy that you can win with, a guy that'll do just enough. So I like these two backs, but sadly, they're sitting at 28. 27, Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson, Patriots. Now, I like Henderson a lot. I also like Ramondre. Ramondre fumbles a lot, though. So if you ask me, my opinion, by the end of the year, this is going to be Henderson's backfield. They've already came out and said that they like him as a three-down back. They see him as a three-down back, which effectively kind of works Stevenson out. So as long as there's no big injuries to Henderson, and if Stevenson continues to have that fumbling problem, I do see this being Henderson's backfield by the end of the year. At 26, one of the more interesting backfields in the NFL, Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, I really like Etienne, but he just has not been playing as good. He was all right as a rookie, good sophomore season, but it's just every year after that rookie year, it seems like he's been getting worse. Tank Bigsby filled in last year a little bit, played really well, but overall, not one of the best duos in the league, so they're sitting at 26. 25, we got Isaiah Pacheco and the Chiefs. Now, the Chiefs are interesting because, I don't know. I kind of feel like it's a committee every year, but the main guy ends up being Pacheco, and Pacheco got hurt last year. He came back, didn't really look good after injury, so maybe that's why I'm holding him back a little bit. But overall, we've seen what Pacheco can do. He can be a good running back. Just the last I seen of him did not look too good, so I can't bump him up any higher than 25 going into this season. At 24, we got Amarion Hampton and Najee Harris of the Chargers. Now, I do think Hampton is the better running back, but I think the signing of Najee is going to hold him back a little bit. I do think by the end of the year, Hampton will be the starting back. I think he'll be the feature back in this backfield. But, I mean, Najee Harris is not bad, not great. I didn't really understand. I've taken a running back in the first round to also sign one. So, 24 seems fair to start the year. At 23, we got DeAndre Swift in the Chicago Bears. Now, Swift is interesting. I think Swift's good. I think he's going to have a much better year than last year with the upgrades made to the offensive line. And, if you can get that pass game going a little bit more, that's going to open up the run game for DeAndre Swift and the Bears a little bit more. But overall, Swift, he's not one of the best backs. He's similar to Tony Pollard. You know what you're getting with him. An average guy, you know what you get. Nothing too crazy. So 23 seems fair. At 22, I have Tyrone Tracy of the Giants. Now, they did draft Cam Skattebo. I do think Skattebo will be used a little bit in this offense, but I do think Tracy is going to be the feature back, the main guy. He's a little bit quicker, a little bit more agile than Skattebo. Skattebo's kind of like that power back, but we haven't seen much of Tracy. Maybe if we've seen a little bit more of him, he could bump his way up. But heading into the year, I think 22 is a fair ranking for Tyrone Tracy, but there is room for improvement. At 21, Brian Robinson of the Washington Commanders. Now, Robinson, I like him, but he is not one of the better running backs in the league. There is a reason that there was talks about the Commanders trying to upgrade the running back position, whether it be through the draft, whether it be through free agency. So, they're obviously looking to upgrade. I think Brian Robinson is good. I think you can win with Brian Robinson. But, I do think they are trying to capitalize while they have Jaden Daniels on a cheap deal and get a big name back, which Brian Robinson just isn't. At 20, I have James Conner of the Arizona Cardinals. Now, Conner, he's one of my fantasy guys. I like him in fantasy football. He's reliable, does have a little bit of injury history, but reliable in the aspect of, he's going to get you 10 points every week. He's going to be active in the run game, going to be active in the pass game. You know what you're getting. Now, who knows? Maybe we see Trey Benson get worked in a little bit more. But overall, based on what I've seen, I think 20 is a fair ranking heading into this season. At 19, Aaron Jones of the Minnesota Vikings. Aaron Jones is kind of an older back, but still has some of that juice. Still playing really good football. And he's on the Vikings. It'll be interesting to see what they do with a rookie quarterback now. Sometimes you kind of want to ease them in. Maybe that means a little bit more of a run-heavy game. Sometimes that means more of like a tight end, running back, safety valve type of game. So it'll be interesting to see how the season goes for Aaron Jones. At 18, I have Chuba Hubbard of the Panthers. I think Chuba's good. It's just interesting to me, the signing of Rico Dowdle, drafting Jonathan Brooks, if Brooks can ever get healthy. But, I believe in him, but it sounds like the Panthers don't. They used an early pick on Brooks. They brought in Rico. I don't know why they would keep bringing in all these guys if they truly believe in Hubbard. And with all those guys in the backfield, it really makes me wonder if that's going to cut into his workload a little bit. So that's why I got him at 18. At 17, Chase Brown of the Cincinnati Bengals. I like Brown a lot. Kind of came on last year once Zach Moss got hurt a little bit, and I don't think Zach Moss is going to be involved in this offense because once Chase Brown came in, it was a whole different run game. This guy's active in the run game, active in the pass game. He's good no matter where you line him up. If you're running routes, whatever you need him to do. At 17, I think that's good with room to improve as long as there's no injuries and he has a good season. At 16, Devon Achane of the Dolphins. Devon Achane's a guy that I think is a little bit overrated. Mainly a lot of people seem to like him because he's fast. But, overall, he just, after that rookie season, he hasn't really been the same. So, there is room to improve. Not the type of back that I like. He's a little too, I don't want to say fast, but I like backs that are a little bit more like third down backs. Guys that can stay out there the entire time. I just don't view Achane as a third down back. 15, Bucky Irving of the Buccaneers. Now, if you want to tell me that Rachaad White's going to get worked in a little bit this offense, I wouldn't disagree with you, but I do think that Bucky Irving is the clear favorite in this Buccaneers backfield. If you do want to include Rachaad White, that's going to bring them down a little bit because Bucky Irving is really good. I think he will move up, and he will move up possibly into a top 10 back, depending on if he stays healthy and how the Buccaneers do. But I really do like Bucky Irving going into this season. At 14, Kenneth Walker of the Seahawks. Now, Kenneth Walker, he's a guy that if you told me you wanted him higher, I wouldn't argue with you. But the only thing that I have I consider a knock is Zach Charbonnet. he's good too. So I do think they're going to go to a little bit more of a committee. Kenneth Walker has dealt with some injuries in the few years that he has played, so that hurts him a little bit. But, with the committee potential and the injuries, I think 14 is a fair ranking. At 13, Breece Hall of the Jets. Now, this is another guy. I would like to move him up forward, but I really can't because of Braylon Allen. And, also he did have a serious knee injury, so that hurts him there too. But overall, I do think there is potential for him to move up. It's just going to be, it's hard when you have another guy getting worked in on the offense. Braylon Allen looked really well. It looked pretty good last year. So, I think this offense works better with the committee. But, it'll be interesting to see how Breece Hall does. At 12, Joe Mixon of the Houston Texans. Now, I like Joe Mixon. To me, I think this was one of his best seasons that he's ever had. I'd say I would take that season that he just had with the Texans over any season he had with the Bengals. I mean, he dealt with a lot of injuries with the Bengals, had a real healthy season. I think he might have missed one game, maybe two. But overall, still played really well. Was a pretty important piece to that Texans offense, especially with the year that Stroud had where he struggled a little bit. They leaned on Mixon quite a bit. At 11, Kyren Williams of the Rams. Now, I would love to get Kyren into the top 10. The biggest knock I have on him is fumbling. And, with the fumbles, they're also taking a lot of chances on running backs. They just drafted Blake Corum, who didn't get worked in a little bit, or pretty much at all. So I do see him getting a little bit more work this year. And honestly, if Kyren continues to fumble, it really brings into question how safe his job is. At 10, we have Ashton Jeanty of the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, I think Jeanty is going to be a top 10 back. I mean, now if you wanted to tell me that you think that's a little too high without seeing him on a snap in the NFL, okay, whatever. But I do think by the end of the year, Ashton Jeanty will be a top 10 running back. He's one of the best running backs that I've seen in my lifetime. The Raiders need an identity. They got a coach who likes to run the ball. Ashton Jeanty is the guy. I think he could potentially be higher than 10 at the end of the year. At 9, Jonathan Taylor of the Colts. Now, I like Taylor. I think Taylor could move up. I do think that the running back or the quarterback play kind of holds him back a little bit because, if the quarterbacks can't help keep them in the game and they get down big, that kind of effectively runs out the run game. But Taylor is a guy who can be effective in the run and pass game. So it'll be interesting to see how the Colts do and if the quarterback play affects his usage at all. At number 8, we have Josh Jacobs of the Green Bay Packers. Now, Josh Jacobs is good. The Packers ran him a lot last year. I do worry about injury a little bit because that was kind of a problem with the Raiders, whether it was missing 1 or 2 games every year or having a little bit more of a sustained injury or not coming back into games. But that wasn't a problem last year. Jacobs played really well, so it'll be interesting to see how him and the Packers do. I do think the pass game will be a little bit more involved, especially since they took a first-round wide receiver, though. At 7, we have Christian McCaffrey of the 49ers. Now, I know McCaffrey is good. I know that some people want to say he's one of the top running backs in the league. I have him at 7 because of that injury that he has. He has problems with both of his legs. That's going to be a problem. It's not something that can heal. It's something that lingers. So it'll be interesting to see how that affects him the rest of his career. I do think we see a little bit of a drop-off in production because of the injury heading into this year, but we'll have to wait and see. At 6, we have James Cook of the Bills as of right now. I don't know what's going to pan out with his contract extension and all that. I do think he'll end up playing this year with the Bills and possibly hitting free agency next year, but overall, James Cook's really good. He kind of gets an unfair shake playing with Josh Allen. He kind of steals the goal line touchdowns, but overall, 2 past years, over 1,000 yards, 18 total touchdowns. This guy's a beast, pretty underrated running back. At 5, I have Alvin Kamara of the New Orleans Saints. Now, this might be someone that you think's a little bit too high, but personally, I really like Kamara. Really good pass catcher, really good in the run game when he gets the chance. They don't give him a lot of chances on the ground, more so used in the passing game. But when he's on the ground too, like running the ball, not a bad running back. Honestly, one of the better ones. I feel like he's a guaranteed 4 yards carry, and what he can do in the passing game is crazy. He's probably the best pass catcher in the game. At 4, I have Derrick Henry of the Ravens. Now, Derrick Henry getting a little bit older, 31 years old, but that didn't slow him down last year. Still had a really good year with the Ravens, and I think even with the age, with Lamar and all that, that'll not keep him good, but it'll give him a longer time to play, with having to defend Lamar and Henry. That helps him a little bit, not getting hit as much, different guys running the ball. So Derrick Henry, I have him at 4. Number 3, Bijan Robinson of the Falcons. Bijan, another guy like Alvin Kamara, can do both on the ground and through the air. Not as good as Kamara in the air, but I'd say he's a better running back on the ground. So Bijan, a little bit younger. They used an early pick on him. He's pretty much the focal point of that Falcons offense, and I do think they're going to lean on him a little bit more while they're kind of going through the growing pains of Michael Penix. He did only play 2 games. At number 2, Jahmyr Gibbs of the Lions. Now, if you want to say this is committee, that's fine. I wouldn't argue with you there. The only thing I would say is I do think this offense was by far better when Jahmyr Gibbs was the main back because of that David Montgomery injury. And I do think they would benefit a little bit more if it was more so like a 60-40 split between him and Montgomery. But Gibbs, same thing here. Really good in the air, really good on the ground. Quick guy, really agile. But he's also got some power to him. So at number 2, I think that's fair. Because at number 1, you got Saquon Barkley of the Eagles. There's no arguing that. Saquon, cover of Madden, the backwards hurdle. I mean, I could keep going. Just in this offense with Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and then Saquon Barkley in the backfield, best offensive line in the game. It's hard to bring him down behind the line. You're not really going to be successful with it. You just kind of got to hope and pray. I mean, you see what he did to the Rams. I mean, 200 yards on the Rams 2 different times this past year. So Saquon, by far the best running back in the NFL. Now, this was all my opinion. Go ahead and comment down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think I rated some guys too high, think I rated some guys too low. I'm always open to hearing opinions. This was an opinion-based video. I had a lot of fun making this. It was interesting, especially around that. I felt bad making Chase Brown as low as he was, Jacobs. So it was an interesting video. I had a lot of fun doing it, though. Go ahead and comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. And if you enjoyed, please remember to like and sub for more Madden content. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.